Hi friends, this is Seth Gruber with Life Training Institute, and this is my series of pro-life training videos called Pro-Life Thinking Thursdays, where each week I examine an argument for abortion and provide you with the pro-life response to that argument. And I do this in hopes that you will be equipped with the tools you need to defend your pro-life beliefs to your friends, family members, and coworkers in a society and culture that dehumanizes the unborn child. And last week, I took a step back from my episodes, which were focused on specific arguments for abortion, and I helped lay the groundwork on which you can build your pro-life case. And I did that by showing that there's really only one question at the end of the day when we talk about the abortion issue. And that one question is, what is the unborn? And I pointed out that this one question is avoided by most pro-choice arguments because most pro-choice arguments assume within their argument that the unborn child is not a human being without proving that the unborn child is not a human being. So this is episode 10, and this is part 2 of How to Be a Voice for the Unborn, Conversational Apologetics. While it's true that pro-choice advocates have the burden of proof to illustrate the unborn child is not one of us before we accept that abortion is a right and rational choice, we as pro-life advocates can also answer that question, what is the unborn? And in fact, we must answer this question if we are to make a thoughtful and persuasive defense of our pro-life beliefs. And so this is how you as a voice for the unborn can answer that question. Pro-life advocates make their case from science and philosophy. Science answers the question of humanity. What type of being is the unborn? And our philosophical case answers the question of value. Does the unborn child have any value, even if he or she is a human being? Pro-life advocates argue from science that from the earliest stages of development, in other words, conception, the unborn child is a distinct, living, and whole human being. In other words, the unborn child is distinct because it's a separate entity from his or her mother. It's living because it meets all the requirements of a living thing. And it's whole, which is to say that everything that's necessary for the unborn child to realize his or her full growth and potential as one of us is already present at the moment of conception. So you didn't come from an embryo, you once were an embryo. In fact, the law of biogenesis states that every living thing reproduces after its own kind. In other words, dogs beget dogs, cats beget cats. A mother and a father, a male and a female who procreate a child can create nothing but a human being. So that's the case from science. And the science of embryology has confirmed this and taught this for decades. Philosophically, pro-life advocates argue that there is no essential difference or value-giving difference between the embryo you once were and the adult or young adult that you are today that would justify killing you at that earlier stage. Let me say that again. There's no essential difference or value-giving difference between who you were in the womb and who you are now that would justify us taking your life at that earlier stage in the womb. So you didn't gain any value after conception that you didn't already have at the moment of conception. But clearly there are differences between the unborn that you were in the womb and the born person that you are now. But none of those differences are relevant in determining your value as a human being. But to think of what some of those differences may be, I want you to remember the acronym SLED, S-L-E-D. SLED stands for size, level of development, environment, and degree of dependency. Yes, it's true, the unborn child is smaller, less developed, located elsewhere, and more dependent on the mother. But these reasons can't be used to justify taking the life of the unborn child because we as born people differ from each other in much the same way that the unborn child differs from us. We are smaller or larger than others. We are less developed or more developed than others. We may be located elsewhere, and we may be more dependent on someone or something else than other human beings we know. So we can't use those differences to justify killing unborn children because we wouldn't use those differences to justify killing born children. This philosophical case is so important because if we don't ground our value in our common human nature, we run into the moral dilemma called functionalism, which says that you don't have value in virtue of the kind of being that you are, a human being who should be treated with dignity and value. You have value based off accidental properties, things you can perform, your intelligence level, your race, your age, your skin color, etc., etc. But we as born people don't share those differences equally. We differ And so we must ground our human value in our common human nature to guarantee life and dignity for all human beings. So that is the scientific and philosophic case for life. And you, as a voice for the unborn, can make this case to defend the humanity and the value of the unborn child. And those you talk to about abortion who have different ideas than you, they will think of themselves as advocates for equal rights. So you can encourage them to consider that we should grant the same value to the unborn child that we naturally grant to born children and born human beings like you and I. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to being with you next week for Pro-Life Thinking Thursdays.